G'day folks, it's Rob here, and in this week's clip we're going to be checking out some landscaping that happened here through the week as we're getting ready to rework the whole backyard. I'll also give you a bit of a breakdown as to why I think the wicking beds didn't work so well, the ones that we set up a number of years back now, the tin ones in the ground. So I was hoping to bring you a low-tech oyster mushroom growing clip this week, but the temperatures have just been too high. They've been mid-30s or above centigrade, all the way up to about 42 today, which I think is around about 107 Fahrenheit. So it's just going to be far too hot to work with them. The oyster mushrooms generally like a temperature between the mid-teens to mid-20s on the centigrade scale. So we might just have to give it a miss for a couple of weeks, and when things cool down we'll have another look at them. But anyway, that's enough of me nattering on. We'll flip the camera around and I'll give you a bit of a look at some footage I shot through the week. So through the week we had Rex turn up with his little digger, and he started to dig some post holes for a small terrace area that we are having created out the back. It's a bit of a compromise between Bianca and myself. She wanted at least a little bit of turf in the backyard and said that if she could have this little area here, I could have the rest of the yard to play with. And here's a bit of a look at how I finished off the terrace after Rex and his mate downed tools and left. So this is the little retaining wall that went in the other day. What it is concrete sleepers that sit down under some double gowl or double dipped gowl H sections, and they just use a double C section in the corner. And these guys have got a bit of a timber finish on them, so we don't need to paint them or anything like that. We're actually thinking about doing the same system along this fence line over here next to Pauline, just to bring the levels up a bit, because our property is actually on the inside of that fence, so it's something we have to talk to Michael and Tina about. But yeah, pretty happy with the way it's gone. It goes all the way up to the side of the cement there and sort of squares off out the back. It gives us basically 6 by 6 or 36 square meters, roughly 36 square yards of nice flat area we can use. And I've been busy yesterday afternoon and just came out the back to start again today, top dressing it with some of the soil from the garden beds out the back, which I'll give you a bit of a look at in a tick. The main reason I'm using this soil is, even though I worked it for a couple of years and put all this nutrition into it, organic matter and all the rest, yeah, we've had an invader just rob the life out of the soil, which I'll show you. So I figured might as well use it as a top dress here, and then when we build the other garden beds down the back we'll get a better soil source. As for what we're going to cover it with, we would eventually like to have turf on here, but Bianca and I have been talking about just layering it fairly thick with arborist mulch and get the beneficial organisms, the compost worms and that sort of thing in here, the fungi as well, and get them to break it down and improve this soil that is underneath this layer here, because this is just pretty much all clay. So that's what we'd like to do. Whether that happens or not, I don't know, because I'm having problems sourcing proper arborist mulch. I can get wood chip, but wood chip will just take too long to break down, I think. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Worst case scenario, we wait until winter and put some turf down here, which is what Bianca would ultimately like. And she has given me permission to set up an aquaponics system over there. Woohoo! So thanks Anita and John, I'll be using those totes. Down the back here, I've also pulled out the bathtubs. This is going to be our esky for May's 21st on Saturday, and then it'll turn into a worm farm. And down the back here I've started to dig out the first 5 metre long wicking bed, and yeah, I'll be moving on to this one next after I find a home for all the fertilisers and bits and pieces I have hidden away in there. But just to show you my big flaw with these wicking beds, and why I recommend wrapping plastic all the way up the sides, is because I have this section of roots here that has come in from outside. That's from behind the plastic there, and they've pretty much all just taken over the bed. This section here actually started, it was running along the inside of the plastic down there, and I chopped off the first section right down the start there, so it's made its way all along the bed. I was thinking it may have been citrus from the lime tree, but I think it's actually from the Chinese celtis, which are next door over there, or along the fence line. And I've just hit another pocket of them at the end here when I just started digging before. So I'd say that's the reason why these beds started to underperform. and a big reason why I stopped growing in them. I'm fairly sure I'm going to find the same issue in this bed here, because the performance in it dropped dramatically as well. I did raise the plastic up higher, but in my infinite wisdom, not knowing a lot about wicking beds at the time, I made slashes down just above the reservoir to allow for any excess water to flow out in the big rain events we get, so they weren't flooded. But yeah, I have a feeling the roots have jumped in there. I'll give you a bit of a look at that, once I start digging this one out. Just wanted to add, before the roots invaded these wicking beds, they grew us some fantastic produce. There was one stage there where they were providing us with all the vegetable requirements we needed for evening meals and most of our lunches in the form of salad greens as well. It appears my phone doesn't like the temperature today. It's already hit about 35, a little bit over 35 Celsius. So it keeps shutting down on me, so I'm going to have to do this in fits and starts, folks. I've cleared out all my excess clay balls and some other bits and pieces, some biochar that I had stored in that tank. That's going up to the house. And I've also moved all the other bits and pieces. So this bed will be emptied today as well. And then I have the bed under this pile of garbage here. And I have the trellis bed down the back. Both of these, I'm fairly sure, have been compromised by roots of trees. So they do need to come out. And the other beds that will be emptied out are the three down the back here. We have the old arrowroot bed, we have the galangal bed, and we have this feral turmeric bed down the back that I'll be emptying out as well. So that's the plans for the day. I don't know how many of them I'll get done because it is starting to heat up here a bit. And I don't want to do my back in either, so I'm taking it nice and slow. And as you can see, I've got a whole heap of other mess that I need to move around as well. So tidy this all up. Basically the idea is we're going to get all of this and stack it somewhere, just so we have a blank slate on the backyard, except for these barrels over here in the corner. And then we can paste things out, mark things out, and work out where we want bits and pieces. And we also have some other retaining wall work that we're looking at getting done. We got a good lead on a fairly cheap bloke who can help us out, and we've seen his work and he does a pretty good job. So there you go. I better put the phone down though before it overheats again and get back to it. Well folks, it's quite a few hours later and I've pretty much all finished for the day. So a little bit hot, it got up to about 38 degrees, but I think I did a half decent day's work. Anyway, I'll flip the camera around and show you what the backyard looks like now, and then also the new terrace area. So these two beds here, they were, that one was finished off this morning and started on this one. And this little bed down here was emptied out. Both those beds had roots in them. This one down here had mango roots coming through, and also what I'm fairly sure is the Chinese celtis, the same as the other beds. That's those trees along the fence line there. This one down the back here was the worst offender. It was about a third of the way through. I hit a whole tangle of roots down in there. So that just explains why this bed never did so well. And I dare say they come from these Chinese celtis over there. So a lesson learned. Don't cut drainage slits in the side of your plastic. If you're having beds in the ground, keep the plastic going up all the way over the sides, and maybe just finish it off on a little bit of side capping. I'll take you up and show you the terraced area. So the terraced area is pretty much all sorted. Some of the soil is actually rather thick. It got to around about over 200 mil or over 8 inches just in this area here. There's a little bit of a dip. So all those 4 beds pretty much all brought it up to level with the side over there. It's not 100% level. I'm going to have to get in there and level it out, but it'll do for now. There's no rocks there for people to trip over at May's 21st. It's going to settle down a fair bit as well because it's not really compacted. One thing I did do is just popped in some of the spare retaining wall bricks just there, just to finish off that edge a bit. Didn't see any point in springing for more sleepers to do that. So we just, that'll do the trick. And of course all this will end up being turfed. I'm not covering this bit here with the soil for the time being because it needs to be cut down, and all that will happen when we do the driveway and all that, so we'll worry about that later. But for now we have a nice little terraced area, so pretty chuffed about that. Poor Lizzie's hot already, and it's only 7 o'clock. One of the reasons we decided to go with these concrete sleepers, I didn't really mention it in the clip, was that they're going to outlast Bianca and I, which means, oh, apparently it's ball time. They're going to outlast Bianca and I, which means we don't have to worry about pulling them down and replacing the retaining wall. Not only that, I did have an idea about actually setting up a garden bed that would come out round about 1.5 feet or 400 millimeters from the side, and then grow a few berries in there, the blueberries. And if I was using the treated hardwood, I would have some concerns about leaching the chemicals into the soil. Some people have suggested you can line them with plastic, but all that means is the hardwood is then buried and it will perish a lot faster. So that's one of the reasons we decided to go with these concrete sleepers. So this is what the terraced area looks like from up at the deck. And Bianca has confirmed that I am allowed to set up a little aquaponics system down there. Just have the grow beds coming out onto the dirt area. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to put turf on here through summer. It's just going to be too hot, so we might just have to mulch it and wait. But yeah, we're pretty happy with the way it went. So things are moving slowly, but at least in the right direction at the moment. The first thing to be done work-wise will be either the aquaponics system under the deck here or reworking the existing one. And then after that, we'll be looking at putting in some wicking beds with high plastic sides to stop the roots down behind the hoop house area there. And then after that, chickens and landscaping and more bits and pieces. So if you want to be kept up to date on how the property progresses development-wise, you can click that little subscribe button down there and then smash the bell icon once it appears, and YouTube will send you notifications. Before I go, I would really like to thank you all who've been coming along for years and leaving comments down below saying g'day and giving the clips a thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. Special thanks to you folks who are supporting us on the various platforms around the webs, the Farm Your Own Yard page in particular, and also the YouTube membership program. Thank you very much, folks. It'd also be great if you could suss out our super contributors. Links, as always, down in the description below. Go over to their websites and show them some love. I really would appreciate it. But I am pretty much all going to wrap it up there. I've got to get this place ready for May's 21st. I do hope you're all well and happy, and I will catch you all next clip. Cheers, folks. Have a top one.